Good morning. Today is February 21st, 2026. It is a beautiful day out there. I am ready to read some news with you, see what's going on out there in the world. Let's jump over to, let's do Fox News first. Let's see what's the breaking news. Feds target California after alleged $1 billion found on unused debit cards. You know, $1 billion with all the talk billions and trillions out there. A billion just doesn't seem that big anymore. But $1 billion. That's a lot. Unused debit cards. Unused debit cards. Let's see what we got here. Labor Department deploys strike team over $21 billion unemployment debt and fraud concerns. That is significant. $21 billion. Now, we all know California has a lot going on in that fraud department. We've all known it. It's kind of like Epstein. We all know. It's just a matter of pushing the issue and making people hold other people accountable, and that's what it comes down to. Now let's see here. Anything? Let's just look through here. $21 billion in borrowed federal funds to keep the system running. Man, this seems like a bad deal for Newsom. Man, one person had $860,000 in fraudulent UI unemployment claims, while some were convicted of creating non-existent businesses to claim unemployment. Isn't that wild? You know, there's some very creative people out there. If they put that much effort into being legitimate, they'd probably be quite successful, but they'd still hate taxes like the rest of us. Let's see here. Okay, let's jump on back and see what else is going on in the world. Trump raises, new main headline. Trump raises global tariffs to 15% following anti-American Supreme Court decision. You know, that makes me chuckle. It really does. That if there's anything that's like, how would I put this? You can't do that, and the guy just says, "Watch me." I think that's the epitome of what's going on here. Trump only has so much time. He only has so much time to rebalance the geopolitical landscape. He only has so much time to outlast his adversaries and set us up for prosperity. He's not going to mess around. I'm incredibly proud of his efforts. I don't always agree with everything, but hey, that's what being an American is all about. We don't always agree, but he is the most patriotic president I have ever had the privilege of learning about. 15%. That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. Now just a quick tidbit on tariffs. Yeah, a lot of Americans are paying the tariffs. You increase a tax, the tax gets passed on to the consumer. We're a consumer-based nation. Anything we're importing, it's because we're buying it here domestically. Now, the intention of the tariffs, instead of flooding the American market with cheap products produced overseas, you slap tariffs on those products. So, a $10 item, some of these countries, they could be, a 15% tariff isn't going to increase it that much. It's going to add $1.50 to it. But, if you've got, look at furniture. Some of these, if it's a $1,000 item, 15% tariff on a $1,000 piece of furniture, you're talking now it's $1,150. And that gets passed on to the consumer. Now, this is following a rule, regardless of what school of thought you have on tariffs. This is following a rule that incentive defines behavior. If there's less incentive to bring cheap, or not necessarily cheap, There are a lot of quality products. They're just made less expensive. If there is an incentive to not bring in less expensive products into the American market, then it should make the consumers think twice when they open their checkbook. Now that hurts the economy. It does. Initially, consumers want to spend their money. If you've ever gotten a new credit card and you've always wanted to know, just like, it's like that new car smell. You just got money burning holes in your pocket. You want to go spend money on something. Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. The consumers aren't going to stop wanting to spend their money, but they're going to have to make some choices as to which products are worth it. Why this is hurting so badly right now is twofold. There's not a replacement product for everything that's getting slapped with the tariff. There's not a replacement American crosswalk product. So what happens, excuse me, we just bite the bullet. If you need that item or you really want that item, you pay more. Now that depletes our discretionary funds quicker, so that hurts the economy. This will bottom out in one main way. It bottoms out because when we run out of money to spend, we stop spending money on those products that are slapped with the tariffs. I did not live through World War II and the Great Depression, but out of the Great Depression was the greatest opportunity for entrepreneurial spirit. I would say greater than any other time in human history. We had people having lived through the Dust Bowl, Great Depression. There was scarcity. It was survival. You make it through World War II, which was the end of the world at the time. I can't imagine a scarier time. You go through all of these things, and now end of World War II. What do? There is such a desire to create, a desire to solve problems in your community. People started businesses. They started making products. They started trying to carve out a piece of that American dream for themselves. And, that's what hardship does. Adversity builds character. And we have had such a stretch, folks, of not enough adversity. Now, those that have had a lot of adversity in their life, you're not gonna like me saying that, but in America, in the last 20 years, the 08 crisis was bad. There's a lot of people lost jobs. There's been some tough times. The pandemic, but it's nothing compared to what our grandparents went through. It's nothing compared. If you're suffering in your lockdown or your social distancing, that sucks a little bit. But you know what? That's nothing. I'd go through that a million times before I'd pick going through the Great Depression or the Dust Bowl. I really would. It's perspective, and we have not been blessed with enough true hardship and adversity to realize that our problems are just first world problems. The result of that is our younger generations that don't know any better. They have not been blessed with the character to withstand such adversity and come out the other end smiling and with hope and with a dream. And that's a tough thing. There's a lot of entitlement. Let's put it that way. There's a lot of entitlement going on, and I believe it's because of a lack of character, and the lack of character is because of a lack of adversity. Trump is doing the right thing, even though it is hard. It is a hard thing, but it is the right thing. Yep, this stuff should have happened 20 years ago. We should have been much more careful about how we allowed products to flood into our market, how we allowed our American companies to offshore production. Excuse me, I'm still getting over a cold. So yeah, we're playing some catch up, and the right thing is usually the hard thing, and yeah, it hurts. And yes, our economy is slowing down. It is going to hit a bottom, but there are some good things that are going to come out of that. One is interest rates. When the economy hurts, yeah, 8 years ago, when I bought my starter home, holy moly, I had a 3.6 interest rate. That was amazing. Now, granted, that was just before the housing shortage kicked off, and all the, a little 2-bedroom house, there's no way on Zillow a little 2-bed 1-bath house should be worth $300,000 nowadays. And that's what these old 100-year-old railroad homes in some of the rural parts of the country are going for, because we are so short on basic housing. People have seen dollar signs. There's been a lot of greed in the markets, especially in the construction markets. But there's no, back to incentive defines behavior. There's been no incentive to compete. Everybody, risks are hard, and I think after '08, people decided they're gonna make all the money they can through every house they build, and why make it on volume if you can make it before the next crash happens? We need lower interest rates. That will help improve some competition in the market for housing and construction. But when you give, this is back to having that entrepreneurial spirit, and that's really what digs America out of our economic slumps. It's our entrepreneurs. It's incredibly, our entrepreneurs are what really make the difference for us, because they truly are the American dreamers. The entrepreneurs, they will take risks. They will invest their own money. They will innovate. They will solve problems that corporate America is not interested in, and they will find new paths to prosperity. What entrepreneurs need is opportunity. They need a chance, and that means they need access to capital. If that's inexpensive, whether it's through equity in their own assets. If you give, and this is back to cost of living and things in our market today. If you give people the opportunity through inexpensive fuel, transportation, if it doesn't cost you as much to put fuel in your vehicle and go to work, if it doesn't cost you as much for the grocery store to transport your basic necessities to the grocery stores or from the distribution centers, if our basic needs are low cost, we're talking fuel, transportation, basic foods, but then when it comes to housing as a basic need, whether we're talking about improving things for builders or landlords or buyers or renters, the common denominator across all of those groups is we need access to capital in an inexpensive way, meaning the interest rates have to be low enough to allow us to use the money. If we're priced out of it because the interest rates are too high, no one's going to buy, no one's going to build, no one's going to take risks in the market. Well, that only screws over one type of person, and that's the entrepreneurs. That's those that are dreaming for that American dream at the bottom of the barrel. That's really unfortunate. Lower the interest rates, lower the fuel costs, lower our energy costs, Yeah, that'll put a lot of money into the rich people's pockets, but a rising tide lifts all boats, and it'll make it much easier on our entrepreneurs and the true Americans out there making things happen. That will dig out our economy much quicker. So I applaud, yes, increased tariffs. Increased tariffs, rip those Band-Aids off. Money does talk. Trump knows that. If there's something that's going to bring the other countries around the world who are playing games with America, if there's anything that's going to bring them to the table, it's going to be money. They want the same things we do. They want prosperity for their own people. Well, that's one way to get it. Give me just a second here. All right. I beat that horse to death. Let's move on. Let's see what else Fox News has. Mamdani radical housing plan generates backlash as landlords dump New York City buildings. We're just talking about housing. Let's see what Mamdani wants to do. Property taxes, mayor's rent freeze in part 2 of Rise of Socialism series. Well, that's great. That sounds like a horror show. Rise of Socialism. Let's see. What did he do? 1 million apartments in New York are rent stabilized. A rent freeze would apply only to those units holding annual increases at 0, down from 3% for at least a year. Okay, median rents in Manhattan hover around $5,000 a month. A median rent is $5,000 a month. That's $60,000 a year, folks. Just to rent an apartment, $60,000 a year. How many of you out there listening to that are looking at that like, man, that's gross income or more than my gross income for a year, and that's what these folks are paying on rent. Well, that's ridiculous. Let's see here. Here's a thought, and this is something that it trickled down to economics matter. Rent is high because if we've got supply and demand. If the supply is low and the demand is high, yeah, rent is going to go up. However, this is real estate. If taxes go up, if we're taxing these properties at a high rate, who does that get passed on to? It's the same thing as a tariff. It gets passed on to the consumer. Well, that increases rent. The landlords aren't going to take it in the shorts, just on behalf of the government who's getting a little bit greedy. Well, taxes go up, valuations go up, taxes go up, supply goes down, your demand goes up. It's a bad situation. What we were just talking about, where we need to empower the entrepreneurs and the opportunity in the market. This is a great example of that, the opposite happening. Those that had the opportunity are those that have access to the billions of dollars to invest in the real estate market. And when you separate the consumer from let's say it this way: when you separate the buyer and the seller across a vast network of bureaucracy and corporate layers, there's no relationship there. We really need to get back to dealing with people on a basic people level. That's what I really think we need to do. I would love to see corporate America get out of the real estate industry. I would love to see what's the word for it? The equity, BlackRock. I'd love to see hedge funds get out of real estate. Trump has signaled that he might block that, but when you're dealing with people and basic necessities, we really need to get out of allowing faceless entities to control these commodities. Let's see here. There's a dress code crackdown on a cruise line. Well, that is signaling the end of the world, folks, when a cruise line is cracking down on how you dress your crack. That means you've hit rock bottom. All right, man detained in law enforcement raid denies link to Nancy Guthrie. I don't care about Nancy Guthrie right now. Judge forces Children's Hospital to defy Trump transgender treatment ban. These judges, I swear, it's like the biblical judges. They're completely corrupt, morally devoid of any moral compass. It is terrible. Let's see here. You know, there's not a lot going on Fox News. Yeah, let's jump over to CNN. Let's see what they're complaining about today. All right, what do we got? Trump doubles down on his trade war. You know, that's interesting. Same story. Different, a little bit different portrayal, though. This one looks kind of dystopic and industrial, and they're calling it a trade war, whereas Fox News just has a picture of Trump. Interesting, and it's surrounding the Supreme Court decision. It's amazing the spin that gets thrown around here. Let's see here. All right, well, we all know that one. 10 to 15%. Yep, mess around, find out. Watch me. I love it. Yeah, and look at these sub-headlines here. Jennings, I'd have told Trump not to respond. Well, who cares about what Jennings says? You know, when he's president, he can decide how to influence the global markets. What the Supreme Court's tariff ruling means for the prices you're paying? Well, unless you're a single-celled brain amoeba, they just went up 15%. Meet the man at the center of the Supreme Court tariff decision. Why? Supreme Court stands up to Donald Trump. No, they stood up to the law, is what it was, and Trump is using different laws for these 10 and 15% tariffs today. They just ruled that these are different codes, and certain codes you can and cannot. They clarified authority. That's all it is. The Supreme Court did its job. Trump knows it. This is, if the left is going to wave this flag as if it's a win, they're going to be sorely disappointed because Trump's blazing ahead under the law. It's not impressed. Let's see what else we got here. U.S. intel agencies believe China is developing a new generation of nuclear weapons. I believe it. NASA designates botched Boeing Starliner test flight a Type A mishap. Okay. Well, let's see. How Iran could strike back if Trump attacks. It's interesting the way they frame this stuff as if they're advocating for the other side. It's, yes, Iran could strike back, but like what happens after that? Does anybody out there really think Iran's baseball bat is bigger than the United States? I mean, do they really think so? Like, we've all got bombs, but as far as what kid on the block has the bigger the bigger 2x4 here, I just the way maybe it's just the way I'm reading it. It seems like they're spinning it on behalf of Iran. I have nothing against the people of Iran. I hope their government gets deposed, and I hope they get some democracy. I think they're wonderful people, but their government is complete junk, and it's about time they were overthrown. Let's see. All right, now we're just into the ads. Okay, now I'm gonna blow my nose a little bit here. I apologize, folks. I got a cold, but we're gonna jump over to some Idaho news. All right, East Idaho news. 2 dead after Jaguar crashes into tree in Canyon County. That would be Jaguar, the vehicle. Supreme Court ruling offers little relief for Republicans on tariffs. They will move on. It is not a big deal. Snowmobile drag racing event. That is pretty cool. Never been to that event, but they always have some awesome video coming out of that one. Let's see here. Let's talk about budget cuts. Idaho Legislature's Budget Committee chairmen defend new cuts to state services. See what they're cutting. Our goal is to have ongoing revenue match ongoing expenses. That's smart. Let's see here. Governor Brad Little ordered 3% cuts last summer to all state agencies other than K-12 public schools. Fast forward, JFAC approved additional cuts of 1% and 2% from most state agencies. Let's see here. What cuts are we talking about? I wonder if they're going to get into anything specific here. State budget increased by an average of just 0.4% per year when adjusted for population growth and inflation. Yeah, interesting. Well, here's the deal, and this is something where I'm an advocate for smaller government. Now, I understand that things are very, very expensive these days. Maintaining roads, our interstate system, that is a public need. If we want to encourage commerce, if we want to encourage businesses moving here to Idaho and southeast Idaho, we need good infrastructure. And nobody wants to foot the bill themselves, so that falls back onto the public, the public taxpayer, to everybody chip in. We'll build infrastructure. We'll try to incentivize businesses to come here. That means we get more jobs. We get more people here. We can broaden the tax base, and hopefully, if we're good stewards of our other expenses, we can all enjoy low cost of living. Now, that's not exactly happening. We're a little upended. A lot of people have been moving into the Boise Valley area. They've got a lot of representation in the state. It's becoming increasingly more blue, as you could imagine. And they get to decide a lot of what happens in the budget. Now, that has, the more blue that ends up in the legislature, means we end up with a little more radical red in the legislature, and so some of these things, like these cuts, and all I ask is for some common sense. And some of these legislatures like to grandstand a little bit, and they're more interested in what the headline is going to be than what reality the next year is going to be. And they're worried about re-election instead of what reality is, and it's just unfortunate. Let's see here. What else we got? Representative Mickelson looks to set guardrails on data centers and energy costs, clear up transportation laws. Now, I'm not going to click on that. That's something the entire country is looking at. Data centers, especially for AI. Data centers suck up so much energy to run, but they also require a ton of energy for cooling. As you know, computers get hot, and if you've got these massive data centers sucking up a ton of electricity, they require a ton of cooling. The cooling requires a lot of electricity. We have enjoyed low energy costs in Idaho because we've got such an abundance of natural resource with our watershed and our dams. But that can change if we suck it all up for data centers. Now, we all enjoy watching neat cat videos on TikTok, but that I would not trade our low cost of living with energy for the cheap entertainment. So what What guardrails? I am going to click on it. Let's see what guardrails Representative Mickelson. Let's see if they're any good. Let's see here. Okay, over Meta is looking to build a data center in Kuna. Usually we can tell which part of the state you're in if you say Kuna or Kuna. Same way if you say Boise or Boise. We can also predict your pedigree by which way you say it. Let's see here. So massive Meta data center. Come on. What is your... this is the tough thing with this clickbait type, headlines. She plans to introduce legislation on investor-owned utilities and data centers. Well, that's not guardrails. What are your guardrails? Yeah. Okay. So she has a plan, but we don't know the plan. Okay. I shouldn't have clicked on it. Yep. So here's the other thing, folks. In Idaho, we have Idaho National Laboratory, where they have pioneered modular nuclear reactors, and those things need to get rolled out ASAP, especially in Idaho. If you can have local modular reactors that can power these data centers without jumping onto the greater grid of power, man, we could have very inexpensive energy in this state. And I think we should do it here first and not be late to the party. Let's see here. Pocatello mayor addresses potential mass layoffs at LA Semiconductor. Yep. If LA Semiconductor used to be On Semiconductor, used to be AMI back in the day. Yep. The parent company was looking to sell the facility, and if it does not sell by April something, they are going to just shut the doors. Well, let's jump over to Idaho Statesman. Let's see what they got going on over here. Okay, Middleton. So their big thing is girls basketball. Okay. Let's see, anything good? Who's to blame for Idaho's budget woes? Governor passes the buck. That's an opinion piece on the front page. That's great. Does Idaho's school voucher scheme save the state money? Hardly. Another opinion piece. You can get the idea of what side of the aisle these guys are on. Boise building has character. It's being transformed into a restaurant. Wow. This is really the front page of the Idaho Statesman. Do I need to refresh this? Is this... Wow. Okay, I'll have to start. I'll find another news source out of Boise. This one's getting bad. Yeah. Well, folks. There's a lot of news out there. There's a lot of junk, but here's my recommendation. Now that you've made it to the end of the video here, turn off the news. Turn off YouTube. Go outside, get some sunshine, as the kids today say. Go touch some grass. And I have not seen anything in the news today that will have any significant effect on you through the weekend. So, you know what? Go enjoy some life, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day.